Welcome back to Echo Ridge and another episode here in our Duplicity series where we're printing out a new dupe every 3 cycles. I started off the episode by considering the unreachable food message that we're getting often. As you can see right now, there's 8 duplicants who can't reach food. And I think it has to do with this refrigerator having too many errands tied to it. At any time throughout the day, there's dupes grabbing food from it. There's dupes returning food from the mess halls to it. There's auto sweepers also attached to it. Now granted, the unreachable food doesn't last long because eventually they're able to get in line and grab the food that they need, but it is a small cause for concern. Largely though, I have started looking at food for the simple reason that we've been hovering around 1.5 million calories. Now I have some plans in the future, whether that's using Drecos and chlorine to make an infinite amount of Dreco farms, or maybe even building a sour gas boiler to get a massive amount of sulfur to be able to feed Sweetles. Either way, I don't think it's a current Echo problem, that's a future Echo problem, so i.e. not my problem. But today we are getting through this entire area here because I think it's time to start setting up the power spine and possibly an industrial sauna. Now, the industrial sauna isn't necessarily a priority because, well, if you remember, our metal refineries have been working just fine for almost 200 cycles. Their input water comes from this geyser, and it's sitting at 30 degrees. And despite all that hot coolant going through and being dumped over here, well, it's still only 45 degrees over here and 30 degrees in this side of the pond, and it's because the pond's so big, it can absorb a lot of thermal mass. One thing I have decided though when it comes to food and, well, me building in this area, is I'm getting rid of the slime farm. Not right now, but this is not going to be the future in the colony. I don't want to have to use our polluted water, so while puff to slime to mushrooms is a pretty great ratio for us, A, I don't like the idea of using that polluted water, but B, I don't always want to have to deal with polluted oxygen. So I'm going to keep this going, well, until it just stops working, or rather until we just run out of slime, which we're sitting at 132 tons. And by then, hopefully we have another food solution to begin with. But the long and short of it is, I always get in my own way, trying to figure out what I want to do next instead of just building more things. So to start off with, we're going to be digging through all of this. Notice I've tried to mop up all the water on this side, and that way when we do crush everything, it's guaranteed to end up in this pond where we'll then pump it and stick it over here. I have to start looking at another spawn as well, and I think that spawn's going to go wherever we end up putting our new industrial area, because some dupes are going to live over there. And, well, they'll need a supply of oxygen as well. And when I started recording this episode, well, I didn't actually hit the record button, so we already have a new dupe. And that is duplicant number 79, Forever Lost in Oz. Oz is an operating suitwear and rocketry specialist. They're handy, and their only negative is that they're a shabby dresser. Sorry you didn't get the entrance you deserved, Oz, but unfortunately that footage has been lost in the ether. Some exciting news down here is we've managed to do some of our digging, and the first neutronium patch ended up being a minor volcano. And based on my earlier statement of possibly having a sour gas boiler in the future, this minor volcano could be a great source of heat, although so could all this magma. The second one ended up being an infectious polluted oxygen vent. Not great. It produces polluted oxygen at a rate of 480.8 grams per second, but as you can see, the eruption period is not very high, so it probably would only be able to support one duplicant. So I don't know what, if anything, we'll end up doing with this vent. Over on this side, we found, here it is, another cool steam vent. So I will go ahead and rename this to cool steam vent number 3. And this one will definitely help us out because cool steam vents average around 1.5 kilos per second of water. So if we're lucky, it'll be able to run about a half of a SPOM. I also made the decision that we're going to be getting rid of these suits. Yes, there is a lot of polluted oxygen in here, and yes, it is massively infected with Slimelung. This is probably one of the reasons why I decided not to pursue the puffs. Speaking of which, we can get rid of all of these, you know, for good of the colony, the frames per second, and just to add some more barbecue. But the reason is pretty simple. Here's Naz. Naz right now is getting a -2 to athletics for having an oxygen mask on. Yes, they're also getting a -4 for major eye irritation, probably because of a bunch of chlorine and stuff in here, but that's eventually going to sink and will destroy it. Now let me see if I can find a dupe with Slimelung. Oh, Malbat 86. Here's Malbat, probably waiting for some food. Notice they have Slimelung, which is giving them a -3 to athletics. So for the inconvenience of having to fill suits, wait for more masks, and, well, limiting the amount of duplicant labor we have in here, it's only costing us a net of -1 to athletics. Because yeah, a lot of dupes are going to get the Slimelung, and they're also going to get the yucky lungs, which means they're going to breathe a little bit more for a short time, but I have 22 idle dupes right now. This whole thing could go a lot faster if I just got rid of the suits. Now, the only bad thing, though, is I don't want to have to try to search through 79 duplicants to find out who has a mask on, so I'm only going to let duplicants go in. Now, on the bottom side, I do not have a door, so I'm going to have to build a quick door just to make sure nobody can come in. And then I'll just wait a cycle to make sure there's no more duplicants in here, and then I'll get rid of the oxygen mask checkpoints. And just like that, it's already been 3 more cycles, and it's time to print another dupe. Definitely not eyeballing that spicy tofu, though. Nope, not doing it, because we want another dupe. Bottomless stomach, you're out, Meemaw. Building impaired is not great, Max. I suppose we could always use more farmers and ranchers. Plus, this Freya has the benefit of starting off with +1 science, which means they'll level up quicker. So welcome to the colony, duplicate number 80, Valkyrie. I think Malbat was the last duplicant to come in. I don't see any more duplicants on the inside of this weird little polluted oxygen zone that we've set up. Probably unnecessary, so let me go ahead and delete the oxygen mask checkpoint. Get rid of all these wonderful docks. And remember, this is probably not the best idea for a regular playthrough. It's just that I have so many duplicants without much to do. 27 right now. And while yes, some of them will get sick, the juice is going to be worth the squeeze. Because as I unlock this door and unlock this one... No, Josh! We're not using suits anymore! Hopefully the same thing didn't happen over here, but now look at this giant chain of lemmings all ready to get to work. Run, my little minions, run! Another issue that we're having in this dumpster fire of a colony is all the mixed gases because, well, we've just been willy-nilly just bulldozing areas. Remember, in most colonies, you don't really have that problem because you have a suit system where the duplicants cannot leave the base without being in an atmosuit. Well, with 80 duplicants all living here in the center of the map, that didn't really make a lot of sense. So we've set up these little garbage areas. Ooh, I need to set this to make sure it says oxygen. To start dumping all these extra gases out and away. Now, this down here wasn't able to do as much because, well, the shaft is small to where the heavier gases aren't able to fall down. What's with all the suffocating messages, and why do we keep all going down here? Oh, we're grabbing slime. This is another risk of doing the stupid move that I did, is because now that we have more dupes with Slimelung, means they're moving up and down the ladders slower. And so for dupes like Bob ate my Bob, who have major eye irritation, and they breathe more because they have the yucky lungs, well, they end up going without oxygen for a little bit longer. They should be okay, but goodness gracious, how long is it going to take you to pick up all this slime? The point I was trying to make, though, is I need to get rid of all the junk gases from everywhere. Like, there's a lot of chlorine in here as well. Okay, who's up next? Glenn? You're gonna make it. You're doing just fine. So I think I'm gonna set up a system here that has all the polluted water getting cleaned, but everything else can slip through to be picked up by this gas pump as well. I can't put our garbage gas pump over here because, well, there's polluted oxygen as well as regular oxygen. And I don't want to lose any of that polluted oxygen because, well, yes, the dupes don't love it, they can still breathe it. And this is what I'm talking about. Yes, we're having all sorts of issues. Suffocations, itchy eyes. But look how many dupes are here to clear this area. It's wonderful. But the sooner I can get rid of all those junk gases, well, we won't have to deal with that anymore. Now that I have all those deodorizers set, I am just going to take a couple of airflow tiles, say something like this, and that should allow all this chlorine and other junk gases to fall through. Oh, I just realized I should have made this out of plastic. I'm adding another primary shaft down here that's going to help all the duplicants traverse, because remember, we get the plus 25% to run speed by running on plastic ladders. Why plastic ladders are faster to run up than normal ladders, I'll never know, because I've been on some plastic ladders and I don't think they let me do anything better. Over here in the infectious disease dig site, we've got another security door here. Unfortunately, Sigwolf doesn't look like they're going to win any suit, but we can still rummage and inspect it to grab that data bank. I do want to see what's in here, though. It looks like a lot of pincher pepper plants. Hey, Citrus Mod, do you mind coming over here for just a minute? Why can't I get in there? Is there another security door? That must be it right there. And this is what kind of water? I suppose if I get in there and it is salt water, I can just dump it in here. Here at Cycle 234, we are once again going to nay a pay, only because this Bubbles starts with athletics. They're also going to be another farmer and cook, and their only negative is that they're a shabby dresser. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 81, Chase Elkins. In the end, I had to deconstruct this door in order to get inside because, well, there's no entrance over here. Hold on, Noosh, where are you going? We've gotten a fair bit dug out. Not too much left before I can start siphoning all this out. The issue is we're starting to run a little low on water. So I think I need to start desalinating all of this. I don't love the prospect because, well, desalination takes time and all that sort of stuff and power. But to tell you the truth, I don't have much of an option right now. I could desalinate this up here. There's quite a bit, and I could also use it to keep the desalinator cool. The dupes are not going to love getting down in there, though, because once again, there's no suit system. But there is plenty of oxygen over here, so when they come down here, try to desalinate it, run out of breath, they can run right back up. In fact, I can get rid of that door now. I still would love to get rid of this chlorine gas, so maybe I'll put some airflow tiles there. Not going to be too big of a deal. There's our desalinator. Little liquid pump action there. Go from the pump into the desalinator and then just directly out. Now this is fairly cold water, but now that we have our base cooling system, I don't care too much. As long as it's above freezing and the water doesn't freeze in the pipes, we're okay. So I just need to bring this down here somehow. Oh no, not again. Maybe this should be the first one of our new system here. Put a little vent action there. Oy vey. Maybe I should just build the spawn here and use this. But I guess that's besides the point because I still need to fill this tank. So I need to get this water down through here somehow. This is gonna be ugly. There we go. After a few bridges and through the forest and around the woods, we end up at this liquid vent right here. Just waiting to clear a couple of these pipes. I also am gonna need to transplant this pump, we'll say right there, because it has to feed this main line that is feeding this spawn. And a matter of fact, it's also feeding the spawn that's all the way over there. So I'm gonna have to make this a true 50-50 split. Now it's gonna be a while before all this is settled and done, because like we've said before, a lot of these systems truly are temporary, and I know I say that a lot, but on this colony it is most especially true. How's this line doing? Oh wow, 6,345 potential watts. Why? It's because of all the auto sweepers and stuff. That's no big deal. I can tie directly into that pump there. Now I just need to figure out power for this situation. I have some coal generators here. I also have this little guy that's just been burning things off. I don't think that's stable enough. It's also connected to this line anyways. Now this whole system is going to add another, what, 720 watts? And neither one of them have the potential. I don't like going over our potential load when we're running thermo aqua tuners, because if we burn out a power cable in there, it is much harder to figure out. So you know what? We have plenty of dupes. I'm just gonna put them to work. Here we go. This doesn't even have to be a real line. We can use regular 2-strand until we one day get this infamous power spine in. Power solved. Now this area is a little bit more problematic. I'd still like to put the desalinator in there and hook it in directly into this pipe. The issue with this is going to be the fact that, well, it's further down. I like putting the desalinators under the water because it takes care of the heat issue, but Dupe's having to come all the way down here to be able to desalinate, well, it's going to be a little bit more problematic. I'm going to try to drain some of the carbon dioxide, and I can help the system a little bit by putting in a wonderful fire pole. There's the pump. Once again, going to go into a desalinator. In fact, I'll try to make it as close to the ladder rung as possible because, you know, breathing underwater, not always fun. And the dupes are going to love this because there's no air over here. But at the minimum, the dupes will be able to get a great workout, which is only going to help their athletics in the long run. So I'm fine with this solution for here as well. Another day, another dupe. I have no idea how long this one's been sitting there. I'm thinking I unpaused it sometime during the cycle. Or maybe I just heard it. I don't know. All the noises are starting to run together. But we only have two options, a building impaired decorator or a tidying doctor researcher that's also building impaired. So we're going to go with the Travaldo, who has a little bit more going on for themselves. So welcome to the colony duplicate number 82, Levidian. Another issue with all these digs is, well, there's a lot of bleach stone which keeps off-gassing into more chlorine gas. So as soon as we get all of that dropped into water, I'm not going to necessarily worry about it, but eventually the big sweep will take it all and put in this little tiny pond to where I don't have to worry about it anymore. Look at this perfect little system right here. Already pumping a bunch of nice water, and apparently dupes are a little slow getting the battery charged. This one here is pumping as well, and we're finally starting to fill this tank here. In fact, let me get a good sweep in here before the dupes have to do it underwater. Now right now we only have one primary water source that is feeding a couple of spawns. That one source is also a secondary for this cool steam vent. As you can see, the hydro sensor is happy and ready to send the water away, but the thermo sensor is not. The water is about 3 degrees too warm, but the coolant loop is still doing its job, so it shouldn't be too much longer before we start getting water out of here, and it will be supplementing this spawn. Speaking of which, only 8 more dupes until I have to have another spawn. Come on, dupes, we have some digging to do. Now that this system's a little duplicative, I can actually have, yes, this system drop into here. And since I already have one vent that's pretty full, I'm going to do something like that here. And I'm going to flip this entire line so it also drops into there, which means I can get rid of this bridge here. Because remember, this is also the overflow for our pea water. And then from the bottom, this is the output from the water sieve. So we got a few different sources of water all coming into this big tank. Now, I'm not too worried about the size of this tank as far as pressure damage. If that changes in the future, we'll worry about it then. Eventually, all this water is going to be going into buffer tanks. But I don't even know where we're heading in the next 5 minutes. Never mind the next 5 episodes, because I've been trying to dig out one area just so we can get a power spine in for what, 3 episodes? But we always have little problems popping up. I've slowed down the digging once again because, well, there's not a lot of fresh oxygen around here. In fact, this entire area is nothing but chlorine. So I need to wait for all of this to sort of drop down, which, as many of you know, the gas simulation in the game can be a little wonky. So to help combat this, I've hooked one of these pipes up to a gas vent. This will help pressurize this area, hopefully pushing more of the polluted oxygen down. Then the chlorine will have to make way and finally go somewhere. But I don't see a reason why we can't start working on our spine because most of this is breathable. I have hooked up a pump here already and it looks like I've forgotten a bridge somewhere. Where do we go? Down, aha. This is just going back to that major saltwater and brine tank in order to be desalinated. Doesn't look like I need this one anymore. And once all of this liquid is pumped away, well then I can continue boring through here where we'll start our power plant around these natural gas generators. I'm also starting another spalm around here. I don't have to fire it on quite yet, but having another spalm here would allow me to inject even more oxygen around here and, once again, help with this massive problem. I suppose I could just copy all this and get it to our garbage pipe, but to tell you the truth, as soon as I open all this up, it's going to sink. So I don't think it's much I have to worry about. And it's dupe time once again. And I'm thinking it's going to be this Bert. This Bert, once again, starts off with athletics, and they have operating and digging, and they start with hard digging. The only caveat to Bert is they like light to sleep, being nyctophobic. That's not too big of a deal. We have a barracks set up just for Bert. Welcome to duplicate number 83, Catherine. And all we have to do to take care of Catherine is put in a nice little cot right here and make sure we assign it. I'm sure I won't forget about that. And we've left a little bit of room in this barracks in case we get more nyctophobic tubes, so I can just extend this system on. Not too big of a deal. but only 4 nyctophobic dupes out of 83 is not too shabby. Oh dear goodness, no. Lady Ruff, where did you get zombie spores from? There are no zombie spores! The only place that we've had zombie spores were in here. And as you can see, there are none left. Slimelung? Food poisoning? Slimelung? Maybe down here? Yes, but it's not open? Oh, I cannot have an outbreak of zombies. That would be very, very bad. You know, it's times like this, it would really help to be able to see color, to figure out where these zombie spores are coming from. They're mystery zombies, I tell you. There are no zombie spores here. I mean, -10 to all traits. Lady Ruff, you have an athletics of -7 right now. The only place I was figuring it could be is around here, but I don't see any zombie spores. Oh well, good luck, Lady Ruff. Oh no. Now Zadnax has contracted zombie spores. What is going on around here? Oh, Zadnax. From breathing germ-filled, polluted oxygen, time to recover 18 cycles. Well, I think that's gonna about do it for today's episode, because I don't think I can hit play anymore. I need to go take a warm bath. And if anybody can see the zombie spores around here, please let me know in the comments below, because I'm not quite sure what to do. We've had 2 zombie spore infections in the past, I don't know, 30 seconds? Oh no, not this again. I hope you enjoyed this episode and are looking forward to the chaos that is going to ensue. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon. Maybe.